The massive holographic projection flickered to life in the center of the United Earth Assembly Hall. 7 alien faces appeared on the screen, each one representing a different species from the most powerful empires in the known galaxy. Ambassador stood at the podium, her hands steady despite the gravity of the moment. She had been preparing for this meeting for 3 months, ever since humanity's first contact with the Galactic Council. She knew what they wanted. Every young species faced this moment. High of the Empire spoke first. His gray skin stretched over a skull that seemed too large for his thin body, and his 4 eyes blinked in sequence as he studied the humans gathered below. He had conquered 12 star systems in his lifetime, and he had never met a species that did not eventually bend to the Council's will. He believed humans would be no different. They were young, barely capable of traveling between stars, and their military technology was centuries behind the Council's weakest members. Species designation human began, his voice translated through the communication device into cold, mechanical English. You have been observed for the past 50 of your Earth years. Your expansion into the Sol system has been noted. Your attempts to colonize the nearby star systems have been monitored. The Galactic Council has decided that you are ready to join the greater galactic community. But membership comes with responsibility. Membership comes with tribute. Listened carefully. She had read the reports about other species who had faced this moment. They had paid tribute for 800 years before their civilization collapsed under the economic burden. They had refused tribute and had been reduced to a single colony world within a decade. The Council was not kind to those who them, and they were not generous to those who submitted. Either way, the young species suffered. What tribute does the Council demand? Asked, her voice calm and measured. Smiled, or at least his face moved in a way that his species considered a smile. 30% of your annual planetary production. All minerals, manufactured goods, food supplies, and energy output will be calculated and divided. You will deliver your tribute to the collection station we will establish in your system. This is non-negotiable. This is the price of peace. The assembly hall erupted in angry murmurs, raised her hand, and the room fell silent. She had expected this demand. The Council always started high, expecting negotiations that would eventually settle around 15 to 20%, but had not come to negotiate. She had come to deliver a message that humanity had been preparing for 3 months. And if we refuse, she asked. The 7 exchanged glances. This question was rarely asked so directly. Most species spent weeks or months trying to bargain, trying to find loopholes, trying to appeal to the Council's mercy. Humans, it seemed, preferred to cut straight to the point. Admiral of the Dominion leaned forward. His species resembled massive insects with compound eyes that reflected the light in disturbing patterns. He commanded the largest fleet in Council space, and he had personally overseen the subjugation of 9 species who had dared to resist. If you refuse, he said slowly, your species will face consequences. Your colonies will be blockaded. Your trade routes will be seized. Your military vessels will be destroyed wherever they are found. And if you continue to resist, we will reduce you to ash and scatter your survivors across the galaxy as a warning to others. The threat hung in the air like poison, felt the fear rippling through the assembly behind her. These were not empty words. The Council had done exactly this to others before. There were species that existed only as slaves and refugees because they had dared to stand against the Council's demands. But smiled. They noticed her expression, and for the first time, uncertainty flickered across their faces. This was not how young species were supposed to react. They were supposed to show fear. They were supposed to beg for terms. They were supposed to crumble under the weight of the Council's power. Hai said, I thank you for your generous offer, but I must inform you that the United Earth government has voted unanimously to decline your request for tribute. We will not pay, not 30%, not 20%, not 1%. Humanity does not kneel. The Council chamber fell completely silent. Even the alien delegate seemed shocked by the directness of her refusal. His four eyes narrowed, and his thin lips pressed together in barely contained rage. "You understand what you are saying," he hissed. "You understand that you are condemning your entire species to destruction." Nodded slowly. "I understand what you believe will happen, but I think you have misunderstood something important about humanity. You have watched us for 50 years. You have studied our technology, our military strength, our economic output, and based on those numbers, you have concluded that we are weak. You have concluded that we cannot resist you. You have concluded that we will break." She paused, letting her words sink in. "But you have not studied our history. You have not studied our nature. And you have not studied what we have been building while you watch from the shadows." Hai laughed, a harsh sound that echoed through the chamber. "What could you possibly have built that would threaten the combined might of the Galactic Council? We have ships that could reduce your entire planet to molten rock in hours. We have weapons your scientists cannot even comprehend. Your resistance is not brave. It is foolish." Turned to one of her aides and nodded. The aide pressed a button, and the holographic display shifted. Instead of showing the Council's faces, it now showed a star map of Earth's solar system. But this was not the solar system that the Council's observers had reported. This was something entirely different. Where the Council's records showed a handful of primitive space stations and mining colonies, the map now showed thousands of structures. Massive orbital platforms surrounded Earth, Mars, and the moons of Jupiter. Hidden bases dotted the asteroid belt. Defense networks stretched across the entire system like a spider's web. And in the darkness between worlds, something else waited. Something the Council had never seen before. "For 50 years," said, "we knew you were watching. We let you see what we wanted you to see. Our public space program, our civilian colonies, our scientific missions. But beneath the surface, we were building something else. We call it Project Unity. Every nation on Earth contributed. Every resource we could spare. Every brilliant mind we could recruit. We have been preparing for this moment since the day we detected your observation satellites in our orbit." Admiral's compound eyes widened. His military mind was already calculating, already recognizing the implications of what he was seeing. "Impossible," he whispered. "No species could hide construction on this scale. Our sensors would have detected the energy signatures. Our observers would have reported the activity." Smile widened. "Your sensors are very advanced, but human engineers are very clever. We spent decades developing stealth technology specifically designed to fool your detection systems. Every station, every weapon, every ship was built in the shadows. And now, for the first time, we are showing you what we really are." The star map zoomed in on a massive structure hidden in the outer reaches of the solar system. It was a shipyard, larger than anything the Council had ever built. And floating in the construction bays were warships of a design the Council had never seen before. "We reverse-engineered the technology from the observation satellites you sent to watch us," explained. "We improved it, we made it our own, and then we built a fleet, not a fleet to match yours, a fleet to defeat yours." Slammed his thin fist against his console. "This is a bluff. Even if you have hidden your true capabilities, you cannot possibly match the combined forces of the Galactic Council. We have trillions of soldiers. We have millions of ships. We have conquered half the galaxy." "You have conquered half the galaxy by threatening young species and forcing them to surrender without a fight," replied. "You have grown soft. You have grown complacent. You have forgotten what it means to face an enemy who would rather die than submit." She stepped closer to the holographic projection, her eyes meeting directly. "Humanity has fought wars that killed hundreds of millions of our own people. We have survived plagues, famines, and disasters that would have broken most species. We have clawed our way up from the mud through pure determination and stubborn refusal to accept defeat. And we have done all of this while fighting among ourselves." Her voice grew harder, more intense. "Imagine what we can do when we are united. Imagine what we can do when all of humanity stands together against a common enemy. You have given us something that we have never had before. A single target for all of our aggression, all of our innovation, all of our will to survive. And you expect us to simply pay tribute and bow down. They were silent now. The confidence had drained from their faces. They were beginning to understand that they had made a terrible miscalculation. Here is what will happen next, continued. You will withdraw from our solar system. You will never threaten humanity again. And you will announce to the galaxy that Earth is under our protection, not yours. If you do not agree to these terms, we will demonstrate our capabilities in a way that will leave no doubt about our resolve. And what demonstration would that be? Admiral demanded, though his voice had lost much of its earlier arrogance. Glanced at her aide again. The star map shifted once more, focusing on a small moon orbiting one of the outer planets. As they watched, a beam of light struck the moon from somewhere beyond the range of their sensors. The moon shattered. It simply ceased to exist, breaking apart into billions of fragments that scattered into the void. That moon was uninhabited, said quietly. The next target will be something more significant. We would prefer to resolve this peacefully, but we are prepared for war. The question is, are you? They stared at the destruction on their screens. They had never seen such a weapon. They had never imagined that such a weapon could exist. And they had certainly never imagined that a species as young as humanity could build one. Hai was the first to recover. His expression had changed from arrogance to something else, something that might have been respect or might have been fear, perhaps both. You have made your point, Ambassador, he said slowly. The Galactic Council will need time to discuss this new development. We will withdraw our observation satellites and postpone any further demands until we have reached a decision. Nodded, we will be waiting, but do not mistake our patience for weakness. Humanity stood alone for thousands of years before we knew the galaxy existed. We can stand alone for thousands more if necessary, but we would prefer to stand as equals. The choice is yours. The holographic projection flickered and died. The alien faces vanished, replaced by the silence of the empty chamber. Turned to face the assembly, her fellow humans watching her with expressions of shock, pride, and hope. It is done, she said simply. They will not return with demands. They will return with offers of alliance, because they finally understand what humanity is. We are not a species to be conquered. We are not a species to be controlled. We are a species that will burn the galaxy down before we kneel to anyone. The assembly erupted in cheers. Outside the hall, news was already spreading across the planet. Humanity had faced the greatest threat in its history, and it had not broken. It had not surrendered. It had stood together, united for the first time in its chaotic existence, and it had told the masters of the galaxy that Earth bowed to no one. In the years that followed, the story of that day spread across the stars. Other species heard of the young race from the third planet who had the council and lived. Some called humans reckless. Some called them arrogant. But all of them called them free. And in the end, that was the only word that mattered.